And new developments this afternoon in a 5-year-old case against a former Williamson County sheriff and a county deputy.
Today, a judge sided with local prosecutors in a fight over what evidence they can use to try the case against Robert Chody and Jason Nassour. The two are accused of ordering the destruction of reality TV footage showing the in-custody death of Javier Ambler in 2019. KVUE senior reporter Tony Plahetsky has been following this case for years now. He's joining us. And Tony, first, walk us through what today's ruling means.
In some ways, it's critically important. At the core of this case against the former sheriff and the former assistant county attorney is whether or not they were legally allowed to seize video that was taken by a live PD crew on that night in question back in March 2019. At trial, their attorneys asserted that it would have been a violation of the federal law for them to seize that information and that video from the crew from that reality TV show at the scene. Keep in mind that this issue bubbled to the surface after the trial against them had actually already started. The trial was halted. This was almost a year ago, pending this appeal to which we now have an outcome today.
Now, you say this was a critical argument. So how is this going to actually affect the case that prosecutors were presenting?
So the question is whether or not this evidence could be used in a trial against Chody and Nassour. Prosecutors said it was critical to going forward with their case. The video itself and whether or not they took action to destroy that video was the core of the very charge of tampering with evidence for which they were being tried. So prosecutors said, the judge in the case essentially gutted our case by saying that we could not talk about that evidence in the case. So the evidence itself and the testimony around it was critically important to the prosecution's case.
All right, so Tony, where do we expect the case to go from here?
I think this case is probably going to live in the appeals court for the next little while. It is anticipated that defense attorneys for the former sheriff and for Jason Nassour are likely going to ask for a higher court, the Court of Criminal Appeals, to potentially review this case. That is a process that could add months, perhaps even longer, to this litigation that, again, keep in mind, they were indicted in September of 2020. So now going on 5 years without them ever being tried in this case.
Fully tried.
Fully tried. That's right. The trial did start. That's right.